fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Core Class Grimlock from the Transformers Legacy Evolution line from Hasbro. This is part of the second wave, which is kind of starting to make its way out to stores now. I actually found this one at my local Target. I know Big Bad Toy Store had a bunch of Wave 2 Evolution stuff up a while ago, and I think they're getting more in all the time, so Wave 2 is starting to make its way out there. But we have the tiny little packaging here for Core Class Grimlock. Really nice artwork of the Dino mode up top there on the flap. Some really fun artwork of the robot mode here on the side. You have the little open window here so you can see the figure. Over here you have the standard one half of the Evolution mural that they got going on. Really nothing going on the bottom. And then here on the back, just showing us the robot mode and the Dino mode. And I believe it's actually correctly transformed here on the back of the packaging. The original test shots they showed us had the feet down here on the bottom. Which I think is how it's going to be for the actual leg mode for Volcanicus. As you can see, he is 3 of 6. But for the Dino mode, you want his robot feet pointing up. So we will take a look at all of that. I'm going to go ahead and get Grimlock out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. Here is Grimlock out of the packaging. Honestly, I like him a lot. I really don't think there's too much wrong with this robot mode. I mean, there's hardly any kibble. You just have the usual T-Rex head along the back. You have the wing pieces here that make up kind of the neck and upper body of the T-Rex, but that's how he's always transformed. Now, technically, they would be oriented like this, and if you really want to do it that way, you absolutely can, but I feel like that puts the wings down a little bit too far, so I like that they can just flip around like this because I feel like that puts them up where they should be, and I think that looks pretty good. Honestly, I wish he had elbows, but other than that, I think the robot mode is pretty solid. I think the nice gold paint on the chest looks really nice. Really sharp Autobot symbol there. You have nice metallic blue for the visor. Nice black paint for the head. Head can move from side to side. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder. Technically you have a butterfly joint as well, but that's really for the leg transformation for Volcanicus. You have a wrist swivel. Again, really wish he had an elbow, but that's really the only thing I feel like's missing. You got a waist swivel here. You got a ball joint in the hip. You got a ball joint in the knee. No ankle tilt, but again, we don't really get ankle tilt usually on figures this small. I'm pretty happy with him. I really do like the robot mode quite a bit. I think he looks good. He comes with this really tiny, dinky little tail gun weapon. You know, it is what it is. I mean, that's fine. It's very similar to what Slug has. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if we could get elbows, I think this robot mode would be pretty perfect. I really, really like it a lot. Very simple, but it works. And I think it's all in proportion. I feel like maybe the legs are a little tall compared to the rest of his body, but it's really not that big of a deal. I think for the most part, he's pretty well proportioned. I think he looks good. Let's go ahead and bring in the others for a group shot here. I'll fan out here a little bit. Here is Slug and Sludge. It's kind of funny now that they've changed his name to Slug. I mean, we're like 2 letters off from being the exact same name at this point. But here is the trio. I think Grimlock might be the best. Slug's pretty good too, although I feel like this kind of crown here for the Triceratops head is a little bit too big. I feel like the head maybe could have been a little bit bigger in that space, but or maybe make this a little bit smaller, but yeah. And then, of course, you know, there's this thing over here, which I'm still not super happy about. But I think they look cool here. I think it's neat to have a trio. And just for fun, let's throw Slash in, too. She was involved with the last Volcanicus. She can be here, too. I think she kind of fits, honestly. I mean, she's a little lanky compared to the others, but she's a Velociraptor, so that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's fun. Throw her into the mix. You got 4 Dinobots so far. If you keep her around, we'll have 7 by the time we're done. So yeah, I think they look great together. Alright, let's go ahead and get into transformation. So we're going to start by just bringing up this entire assembly here. And if the little peg section doesn't come along with it, make sure that comes up so that fills in that space right there. But this is going to come up to about here. Just kind of make sure the arms are out of the way so that you can close this up. And these will peg into each other very similarly to how the G1 Grimlock transforms. Then you're going to spin the wrists 90 degrees so that the front toes, claws, whatever you want to call them, are facing forward. Now, it says to push these together. I honestly find it's a lot easier if you kind of put this in the front and slide it back. I think it's a lot easier to do it that way. But then this is going to come around, and there's this tiny little tab here that's going to sit in this little spot up here. So you're going to bring this around and bring this up into there like so. And then you're going to bring that little tail piece back in, and we are going to peg that in. I think this goes like this. Yeah, like that. And then you just kind of situate this like so. And there we go. There is our Grimlock in Dino mode. The T-Rex mode, I think, looks pretty good. When we first saw pictures, I don't know how they did it, but they had the bottom of the feet down here like this. And I'm kind of interested to see how they did it, because I really don't think you can do it. I feel like somebody just... Maybe if I spin this and I bring this up like this... They must have had it like that or something like that, because it looks ridiculous, and also it's like an effort to actually make it possible. I don't know why they would have done that. But in any case, it's supposed to go like this. And I have to make sure that I'm clearancing everything there. Okay, there we go. So yeah, the actual Dino mode I think looks pretty good. You have some nice blue paint there for the eyes. Obviously the mouth does not open, but you can move the head up and down. The arms do not move, although I think there is a little bit of metallic paint there. Kind of blends in with the gray, but I think there is a little bit of a lighter shade there. Obviously some gold up here for the neck. Now you do have these giant ball joint sections here, which is kind of a bummer. Not really a great way around that. But if you just kind of look at it from an angle, they kind of blend in. But head on, he does look like Frankenstein there with the bolts in the neck. So that's kind of a bummer. You do have the same ball joints here that were the shoulder joint. And the wrist movement is now, I guess, kind of like, well, a joint that animals don't usually have. That's like mid-shin rotation. So that's weird. But it looks good. I honestly don't have too much of a problem with this. Bringing the other two back in. We can take a look at our Dinobot team. Sludge should be the largest, is by far the smallest, so that's a little weird. He's so close to the ground, which I think is so strange. Let me zoom out a bit. But I think, honestly, I think like, you know, Grimlock and Slug here look in good proportion. But Sludge just looks so tiny because he's so squat to the ground. So that's a little strange. And then we'll go ahead and we'll throw a Slash into the mix as well. So it's cool. I like it. I like having these little core class Dinobots. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think they look great together. Alright, so transforming him into the leg is fairly simple. We're going to start over here by removing the tail, flipping it around, and then we're going to peg it into these two spots right here. And that's going to form kind of a heel for the leg. We're going to take his legs here. We are going to bring them in and then rotate these back out like we were doing for the robot mode. They will peg into each other with this and this. So you'll see that these two tabs will peg into each other like so. And then there is a tab here that will peg in right here, is right there. So this will come down and peg into that. And then at this point, you're going to take the neck section and open that up again. And then you're going to just bring this straight down. Hopefully this will stay where it's supposed to stay. Now, here's how this works. To me, I kind of like the look of this, but I believe the problem is that this will kind of get in the way of the leg that's going to be next to it. So what they want you to do is bring this around, and you can see that there's a tiny little tab right here, and that's supposed to tab in right there like this. So they want you to have it like this. This is the official configuration for the leg. I think this looks kind of ridiculous. Like I said, my first choice would be to have them both down like this. But if it has to be like this because of clearance issues on this side, I'm just going to make it symmetrical and bring this around and just pop this on like that and then bring the head down. So there's a little bit of option here. I mean, if you want, you could put them both down and then just, you know, try to figure out how to make the legs space out enough that it's not a problem. You could have one up, one down on the side, or you could put them both up like this. Whatever you prefer. So, again, you have some options. To me, I'd rather it be symmetrical, so I'm just going to leave it like this. I do also kind of funny that you can just lift this up and see Secret Robot Grimlock head. But, so yeah, for me, I'm just going to leave it like this. Alright, so bringing in the rest of Volcanicus, we're going to go ahead and just plug him in here. Now, this way I have it, being symmetrical. There is kind of a small clearance issue here where his little arm is going to hit into the part of the leg from Sludge. Again, you can make it work if you just kind of bend that knee a little bit. It's not a big problem, but I'm assuming that's why they have you... Let me split this part again. So I'm going to put this back to the actual official configuration. So I'm assuming the reason that they have this down like this and this one pegged in like this is so that when you bring this up, now there's, no clearance issue here, and this isn't going to cause a clearance issue with Snarl once we get him. But we're getting closer, about halfway through at this point. We've seen Swoop and we've seen Scar, which are going to be the two arms over here. And then, of course, this will be Snarl, which is the last one to be revealed. I've seen a lot of people just buying 2 Grimlocks for the time being, to have 2 legs. But then this is going to hit into him, and that's the whole reason they had you put this up in the first place. But he will kind of balance on one leg for now. I was trying to give him one of the legs from Scraphook here, but that's not going to work. It's just not going to be tall enough. So you either have to give him both of these and just have Grimlock hang out, or you have to buy 2 Grimlocks, or you just have to have him, flamingo it until Snarl comes out. But we can, if we want, give him these arms in the meantime from Scraphook. So they're very lanky, but at least he'd have something. Of course, that does throw off the balance. So now Grimlock might not be enough to hold him up. He wants to fall over. But I think he's going to be cool. I mean, by the time he's all said and done, he's going to be about this tall. Just for a comparison, let's grab... Here's Tarn. So he's not quite a Voyager. He's definitely like a head shorter than a Voyager. Let's grab... This is Studio Series Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, who is small for a deluxe, and this guy's definitely not quite like 1.5, well, maybe 1.5 times taller than him. I don't have a... Well, here you go. Here's Scraphook. If we give... Hold on, can we give Scraphook his other leg back so he can stand here, since Volcanicus isn't using it anyway. So here you go. So that's a standard Evolution Deluxe. So he's definitely taller than a Deluxe, but not quite a Voyager. And then just for fun, here is the Wheel Grim Cyberverse Combiner, which is definitely taller. They just both have dinosaurs. That's the only reason I brought him in. So yeah, just a couple size comparisons there. It does look like with Grimlock, he is going to be a little taller than previously when we just gave him the 2 legs from Scraphook. So be a little bit taller than we thought originally. Let me take these off so that he'll go back to standing on his own. There we go. But yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I really can't wait for it to be Dino King. In the meantime, I think this is pretty fun. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with Grimlock. I really like the robot mode. I wish it had elbows, but otherwise, I think it's pretty perfect. I really do like it quite a bit. I think the T-Rex mode is fairly decent as well. Yes, it's a little thick and a little clunky, especially with the tail, but for the most part, I think it works. I think the transformation into the leg is fairly simple, and I think he does make a pretty solid leg, which he'll need to stand up. But in any case, I think it does actually look pretty good as a leg. I do kind of wish that there was some symmetry with the way these things go on for the leg mode. It's not a huge problem, and if you really want, you can kind of put them both to the front. It can get a little bit in the way around the knee area, but it's not a big deal, and you can make it work. But if you want to just do it asymmetrical, you can do that as well. So you have some options with that. But yeah, overall, I think this is definitely one of the better ones we've gotten so far. I might even say he's my favorite of the 3 we've gotten so far, with Slug being a very close second. But I think this guy's actually pretty great, so I definitely recommend checking him out, picking him up, especially if you have the other 2 already. Sludge is definitely still in last place, and I think that's going to be pretty hard to beat. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.